Thank you for coming, and thank you to the Fitchburg Art Museum for hosting us today. The Fitchburg Cultural Council is part of City Hall, and we are a volunteer body that's placed in our rules by the Mayor's Office. We are also part of the Greater Massachusetts Cultural Council, and the mission of the Cultural Council, I want to read right from their website, so we're all on the same page. The mission of the Mass Cultural Council is to promote excellence, inclusion, education, and diversity in the arts, humanities, and sciences, and to foster a rich cultural life for all Massachusetts residents, contributing to the vitality of the Commonwealth and the economy. So our job here locally, we are called an LCC, so that's Local Cultural Council, so that's what we are. And our job basically is to support the arts by granting out the state funds that we receive from Massachusetts and placing it into the hands of our residents, you guys, and other organizations here that are supporting the creative economy and doing creative things. So I want to note, first of all, a lot of people get confused on the difference between the Fitchburg Cultural Alliance and the Fitchburg Cultural Council. And I know when I came here, that was a big thing that I was like, I can't understand which group is which. So the Fitchburg Cultural Alliance is a nonprofit. They have a new executive director who's in the back, Jesse. And they're a private entity, which means they're not attached to state or local government, and they're a private arts organization. So we're attached to City Hall and to the state, and so it's a little bit of a difference, and that's a difference in how we adjust ourselves, how we do our meetings. You're a part of our meeting today, and this is a public forum. And when we vote on things, we have to have a quorum. So we're definitely a little different than how a private nonprofit arts organization would operate. So I want to introduce you to our council. Most of them are here. So we're going to start with my co-chair. So I'm the chair, and my name is Tamar Russell Brown. My co-chair, if you could stand, Audrey, is Audrey Pendleton Chow. Our grant coordinator is Eileen Berger. If you want to stand, Eileen. Our secretary is Matt. Matt, help me with your name. Bruin. Good stand, Matt, for everybody. Nice to see you. Our treasurer is Liz Murphy. Casey Taylor in the back is one of our council members. We also have Jesse Olson in the back, who's one of our council members. Shara Osgood, where are you, Shara? Here in the front. We have Samuel Luxama, who I don't believe is here today. Leona Wetzel is also not here today. And Claudia Stevens is also not here today. And finally, our ex officio, Joe, could you stand? Joe Bowen, here in the front. He's been helping us, and he was the last chair. 2 chairs ago. There was one in between. Yes. Leo. Yeah, Leo was the one in the middle. So that's your council. So when you guys apply for grants this year, this is the body that will review the grants and then vote on them. So tonight is our public input meeting, which means we want to get information from you about what we should be granting, what types of grants we should approve. So I want to mention a few things the Cultural Council also does. We support the community in different ways when we can. We have a TV show right now called FCC TV, which is on FATV, and we thank FATV for being here tonight with us and helping us and letting us use their facility. And we are a member of FATV. So you can always see us on FCC TV. That's the name. And we interview our grantees. So those of you that have grants that will apply this year, we will want to interview you and do that in a public format so that it can be recorded for the future. Another thing that we do is we host the brainchild of Peter Capadagli of the Boulder Art Gallery, which is called Fitchburg Open Studios. And it'll be the last weekend of September. And this is also a Fitchburg Cultural Council project now. And very often, we write letters of support to help organizations also going after grant money, doing various things, and they need some type of support. And we're one of the organizations that can give a letter of support for whatever creative project could benefit Fitchburg. So I want to now introduce AJ Torigny, the Special Assistant to the President, Community, Governmental Affairs, and Special Projects at Fitchburg State University. They reached out to us several times this year for letters of support. So we want to get his comments on what that looks like and how our LCC benefits Fitchburg. come up, AJ?
What a crew of people. I love to project. With the microphone for FATV. You want me to stand by this, don't you? Yes, absolutely. All right. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm AJ Tarigny. Thank you, Tamar, and thank you to the Fitchburg Cultural Council and FATV, the best public access television in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, might I add. Thank you very much. Thank you. When it comes to the Fitchburg Cultural Council and the Massachusetts Cultural Council, back in the day I wore a very special hat, and I was able to, this was several years ago, when I was able to review all the applications and the funding requests that the Fitchburg Cultural Council put forward to the mayor. And then I was able to see all those projects put into action and the thank you letters that came in from all those different artists throughout our community. So the Cultural Council holds a special place in my heart. And of that, and now in my transition working at the university and for President Lapidus, there were 4 particular conversations that we had just this week alone that really touched base to the cultural economy and diversity throughout our city. The first, we had Speaker Pro Tem Kate Hogan come down and do a walking tour of Main Street to see all the development that's happening along our Main Street corridor. The second was we had a walking tour, again, of Main Street with some serious banking officials looking to invest in downtown Fitchburg. And then I spoke with the President Lapidus, and I spoke with 2 different developers, one that's already heavily invested in downtown, and a second one that's looking at downtown as a means of growth and providing opportunity for people in housing and in the commercial industry. And what that all means is, and how it boils down to the Cultural Council, is the funding that the Cultural Council is handing out and helping artists are microcosms of different events happening throughout our city that's gaining one big bang, if you will, and that's the creative economy, right? And that's what we're really trying to focus downtown with, between the leadership with the City Hall, with President Lapidus, of course with Fitchburg Art Museum and Nick Capasso and their crew, and what New View Communities is doing with Mark Dohan with the Fitchburg arts community. And every time a new group, and I love the fact that we have all the different entities and the awardees up running up, is we're attracting outsiders into our city, and we're showcasing Fitchburg and what we really are and who we really are and what we can do. And it's all based off the creative economy. And the Commonwealth is doing the same exact thing. For the first time since 1987, the governor and the legislature appropriated about $23.3 million to Mass Cultural Council, and Fitchburg will feel that growth, and we'll be able to provide more to artists and creative minds throughout our city. So we're all about educating, sharing, and creating creative people, if you will. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for being here. And on behalf of President Lapidus, we look forward to working with you. Thank you, Tamar.
Thank you, AJ. I really appreciate you coming today. So next we're going to have a few comments from our treasurer. And before we bring her up here, I want to explain a couple of things about the money. So the money comes from the state, and then the money goes to City Hall, and it sits in a fund that's reserved for the Fitchburg Cultural Council. And that money can't be used by anyone for anything else. It's our money, and we're allowed to use it for our grantees. And if for whatever reason we have leftover funds at the end of this cycle, we're to put it back into the pool and re-grant it. So just so everyone knows, the checks for your grants would come from City Hall, and so they're very heavily involved. So I wanted to explain to the public that it's wonderful that our current treasurer is at City Hall, because the accounting department is at City Hall. So we answer to the accounting department. What's the name?
Auditors.
The auditor's office. And Calvin is our auditor.
Yes.
And so everything goes into his office. So if we have questions about where some piece of money is, we have to reach out to him. So it's been really helpful for us to have a chairperson this time around that's at City Hall, where we have access to Calvin and to the mayor's office. Just to make that clear for anybody in the public that was thinking that it might be a conflict of interest to have someone at City Hall. And Liz's position is not a voted position, so she's allowed to be on the council. So with that, I'd like to invite Liz up to the platform, and she's going to give you a quick rundown of the types of projects that fit into the grant category for supporting the arts and culture. Liz?
Thank you, Tamar, and very well said, AJ. So I think, because we started a little bit late, and it's 5 minutes before 6, that I want to pare this down a little bit.
Sure, do you still want the slideshow?
You know what? We could probably leave the cycling thing going, and I'll just talk for a couple minutes about the kind of activities that you can apply for. So Tamar did a great job of already talking about what our mission statement is, so I won't repeat that. But the main criteria for eligibility, if you want to apply for a grant, is that it has to fall into arts, humanities, and sciences. And those are some pretty broad categories, and there's some specific definitions for each of those categories. So we can support those programs that are doing that in Massachusetts. We can't support things that are outside of Massachusetts, and of course we have a priority for Fitchburg. So what is art? Which, pretty subjective question. There's a definition that the Cultural Council actually uses. So it's the creation of work in crafts and performing, visual, media, folk, design, literary, interdisciplinary arts. They can also include presentations, preservation of art, and education about works of art in these different disciplines. Then we have humanities. So what is humanities? It's a type of learning that deals with human values and aspirations, human thought and culture, language and creativity. Examples include but aren't limited to history, social studies, philosophy, criticism, and literature. Science is the last category, and this is somewhat limited. So when it comes to our ability to fund science-related activities, it needs to be cultural, interpretive, and education expression, and refers to types of learning that deals with nature, science, and technologies in ways that explain how they relate to people's lives. So organizations that typically apply for these kind of grants would be like aquariums, museums, botanical gardens, nature centers, natural history museums, planetariums, science centers. So think museum, learning, that's the limit of science. So, don't apply for your, experiment, I guess. I'm going to keep going and skip a lot of this stuff. So there has to be a public benefit to what is done. So it has to be, we need to fund applications that would support activities that contribute to the cultural vitality of the community rather than benefiting a private group. So just keep in mind, it has to benefit the public. You can't apply for something where the eligibility to participate in that is limited to a private group. So it has to be available to the community. So a couple of examples of types of grants. Operating support for the audio production room at Fitchburg High School. Operational supplies for Lucy's Barn, which include the Stratton Players 2022, Fitchburg Memorial Middle School's AV Club. Then other types of applications that we funded are ticket subsidies, so discounted programs to Children's Science, the Discovery Museum in Acton, free tickets to Fitchburg residents for the Worcester Chambers Music Society, Society's Looking East, that was at the Fitchburg Art Museum, field trips, performance of Tanglewood marionettes, Perseus and Medusa, that happened in Fitchburg. That was the Memorial Middle School, the FHS Drama Club's METG State Drama Festival entry, St. Bernard's first Tech Challenge competition for their robots team, community events, Blacksmith and Renaissance Fair, summer concerts at Cogswell Park, Civic Days, a few other quick eligible activities fellowships, site-specific projects, murals, that type of public art. So if there was a sculpture that wanted to be placed somewhere, if it was in the public, it would be eligible. But if it was in your house, it would not be eligible. And lastly, who can apply? Individuals can apply. Nonprofit organizations can apply. Unincorporated entities can apply. So those would be like clubs, social clubs, groups, public schools, libraries, public entities of that nature, municipal agencies. The local cultural council itself can apply for things. Religious organizations can apply for things as long as they are not for religious purposes. And what that means really is that the only entities that can't apply are for-profit entities. So if you're a for-profit, I'm sorry, you'll have to talk to somebody who's a nonprofit. And then we have our local criteria. So that's a lot of why we're here today, is we want to understand from the public what we should make priorities with our local criteria. So that's why we have this annual input forum. And I'm going to skip the rest of this stuff and go right to some information about application dates and grant training. So we are going to have a grant training. We were talking about September 15th. Is that correct, Audrey? Yeah. So it'll be Thursday, September 15th. We may... Oh, do you have that up there? So... all right, so we don't have that. It's not on there. But we do have the grant applications open on September 1st. We have Fitchburg Open Studios Tour. That'll be happening that weekend. That's not really related to the grants, but is an example of a grant. And just an amazing thing to come tour. And then the actual grant application deadline is October 15th.
It's actually October 17th.
October 17th, you're right, because that's a Sunday, I think, or that's a weekend.
Saturday. It's on a Monday.
On Monday, October 17th.
And with that, I think we can wrap this up.
Thank you, Liz.
And I will...
Thank you very much, Liz. Okay, so the next part is actually we're going to do some audience participation. So Matt is our secretary. So if you guys can speak up, he's taking notes. And Jesse's going to help with the second pair of ears. And FATV, we don't have mics to pass around. We're not going to pass mics. So what we're going to do now is go over some of the questions that are on the questionnaire. So two things. The public input survey is on the table in the front on paper. You're welcome to fill out a version of it here and leave it, or take it and mail it to City Hall, drop it at City Hall, email it to us. Or there's a link online which you can find, which is a fillable form online, and has all the questions that we're going to review today. We're not going to do them all today. We're going to do a couple highlights because we want to hear you guys speak. And we'll take notes. And then with the forms that you guys fill out and our notes from tonight, our next meeting, sorry for the buzzing, our next meeting on the third Tuesday of August is when we're going to decide the priorities, which will then inform the grants, right? So whatever we come away with today and from all the input online, the next meeting will determine what those actual guidelines are for the grant cycle. And then when you guys go to apply for your grants 9/1 to 10/17, those priorities will be our focus after we've heard the community's input, and then you guys need to read them before you submit your applications so that you make sure that your grants requests are in line with the community's priority requests, if that makes sense. So we'll start with, and I have a note from myself, which is I'm interrupting the flow here. We need more members on the council as well. So if anybody's interested in joining us from the community, we would love to speak with you. So please be in touch with us. Okay, so Fitchburg Cultural Council survey, public input survey for 2022. If you have the sheet in front of you, I'm going to skip some of these so we can get to some of the meat. One of the questions I'd like to open up to the audience, and if you guys could raise your hand maybe to speak and we can keep it kind of organized, is number 6. And it says, are we reaching these communities? If not, how and where can we or the organizers better engage these communities, specifically in Fitchburg? And this is referencing question number 5, which I'll read to you, which says, is there a particular population segment that we should aim to reach through public funding of cultural projects? And then it gives lots and lots of options. So I'd like to open it up to the audience. What communities in Fitchburg would you like to see given support? And are we doing a good job in the past? Have we done a good job reaching who needs to be reached with the art programs that we've supported? Any comments? Sir?
I think focusing on the youth would be more beneficial rather than older adults. Trying to engage the youth while they're young, get them active in the community. Maybe when they get older, they'll stay engaged and active.
Thank you very much. Shara?
I think that the low-income communities and the immigrant communities, I think a concerted effort to reach out to them is really valuable. Get them more engaged in things that are going on.
And
Thank you. Iffy?
To that, I was thinking too, we have a lot of Latin people, and we could have a Latin festival that would add to that what you were bringing up. So we hear all this Latin music everywhere on the streets. Why don't we bring it in a festival?
We need some very big Dominican singers, Puerto Rican singers to come do a festival. That would be amazing. Can you have the Salsa Fest? Salsa on the waterfront. We need to bring that back, right? Thank you for that. Anybody else? Yes?
I don't know if there are any programs like this out here. I do all of my work in Springfield, but I'm from.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. If there's some type of program for aging out of high school into college like that, kind of like bridging that gap between high school and college, I work with that age group, and we're able to hire staff for our studio through programs like Youth Work, so they supply either stipend grants or hourly wages for employees, and then we have them hired, and our studios are job sites. So it helps give kids something else to do between, if sports are out of season, school is out, like what else are they doing? And kind of giving them paid opportunities in creative spaces so that they can understand that there's other options and ways to explore and navigate and not do anything.
What was the name of that program you mentioned? Youth Hire?
Youth Works.
Youth Works.
Yeah, it's through the New England Farm Workers Program. There's some office like that in Fitchburg, and I cannot for the life of me remember the name, so if any of you all know, please let me know. But yes.
Yes?
I just want to piggyback off what she was saying. We used to have programs similar to what you were saying. We used to have like the mentorship program, peer mentorship, peer youth leadership, upward balance, things like that. Basically, like where college students would like be a mentor to like high school. Sometimes after school, they would go like with their mentor, and like they can either go to the movies, go to the park, or like things that doesn't necessarily have to involve money or anything like that. But like you're saying, it is something to like help the youth, like you said, that between that gap between high school and college and whatnot. So I think something like that, peer mentorship or leadership or something like that.
Thank you. Anybody else? Joe?
I have a couple of comments from someone on Facebook Live.
Oh, look at you.
The ask is they would like to see LGBTQ community highlighted, and also to have a focus on mental health awareness.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe.
And that was from Ryan online.
Thank you, Ryan. Wherever you are. Anyone else? I see eyes. Everyone's thinking. Okay, so we have some work to do. And in the past, have we done, just to go back to number 6 again, have we done a good job in the past reaching the communities? Because what's interesting is some of the communities you guys are mentioning are communities that we've had on our priorities list in the past. So in the past, did we do a good job? Did we not? You're shaking your head. You're welcome to comment. This is an open forum. Anybody? So obviously we can do a better job. We need to do a better job.
How can we do a better job?
That's a good question, Audrey.
How can we market to these different communities?
I will get back to you.
Okay, think about it and let us know. We have until August 10th to get this survey done.
When we're talking about reaching these communities, are we talking about to encourage them to apply, to encourage them to attend events? What do we mean by reaching? Or do we mean everything that might mean reaching?
I think letting them know what is happening in town. I think that there's a lot of really amazing things that a lot of people are not aware that they're happening.
Yeah, communication is definitely a problem.
Getting the community together.
Yeah.
I think the question, though, in our council priority question, it just said, is there a particular population segment we should aim to reach through public funding of cultural projects? So is the money being used for the projects that are reaching these communities? Yeah. You're welcome. Any other comments on this one? Yes, Attorney Tree?
I don't know that you would call this a population segment, but I think that efforts and funds should be focused on artistic entrepreneurship. Things that contribute to the economic basis of the community.
I like that one. Yes?
In terms of how can you do a better job, ask the communities themselves to participate in generating proposals and also evaluating proposals, just to spread the word. And in terms of what do we mean by reaching them, it occurred, the first thought I had was anybody who is affected by the work of art, you've reached. So I wouldn't discount that as important.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
To follow up with you, are there programs like, I'm a mentor for E4All, which is Entrepreneurship for All, and through the pandemic, I've gone through 3 of those programs. They're the accelerators for small businesses and entrepreneurship. Is there an accelerator that's accessible to entrepreneurs out here right now?
I can answer a little piece of that. The only thing I'm aware of is New View Communities has a small business development arm, and it's incredible. They offer tons of grants that they give out to small businesses here. They offer free business plan assistance. Also, the Development Corp through the Chamber of Commerce here has tons of grant programs they support. There's also SCORE mentorship that goes through the Chamber as well. So those are the few things I know. I don't know of any other type programs. Liz?
The city of Fitchburg has a small business loan program. That program is eligible for either micro enterprises, which are individual small businesses that have less than 5 employees, that are income eligible themselves, being under 80% of the area median income, or larger businesses who are going to create jobs. So those are the 2 eligibility categories. And then those jobs are intended to be for folks that were earning under 80% before they took that job.
And Rebecca?
I was just going to mention that E4All in their Worcester office is residents of North Central Mass are eligible to participate in E4All through the Worcester area, and they're trying to have more presence in Fitchburg.
Okay. The one I work with is in Holyoke.
Yeah, and there's a Lowell one, but the Worcester one in particular is doing outreach to Fitchburg, and all of their programs are online right now, so you can participate without having to go to Worcester.
Yeah.
If people in this area are interested.
That's very interesting. I've never heard that name before.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? Joe?
I have another comment from Ryan. We're in a bit of a time delay between when he hears what's going on and then what's actually happening in the world. So this is in regards to the last question. I was interested in programs that are elevating the voices of the marginalized groups and also some murals.
Somebody likes murals. I think we all do. They make the city look amazing. Okay, we got that. Thank you, Ryan. I'm making a note. Anybody else? Sam?
Interactive public art. Like I got, someone said, we need one of those murals that has the wings that you can take a picture. And I said, oh, we have one right by the police station, but we need more of those. Pick interact. Like we used to have that chalkboard
over on 409 Main Street that said, you know, when I grow up, I want to be, or whatever. And people
Before I
could,
die.
or before I die, that's what it was. Before I die, I wanna, and you could write on it, or they have, you know, interactive, like this water things when it rains, you can, it makes noises or whatever. Interactive public art.
That's interesting. Yes, over here again.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not
Okay, what's your name?
I just go to this.
That's all right. What's your name?
Yeah, I'm Tiana.
Tina.
Yes. Maybe some like funding for transportation, public transportation. So the employees that we get through that Youth Works program, they also get like a bus pass. So it means that they can at least get to us without having to worry about a ride or paying anything. It's already preloaded. Something like that that could connect, you know, like local programming, different organizations with like even the schools, like passing on to the high school. However, these kids need to hear about this. But at least have it available so like, you know, oh, I don't have a ride or whatever. It's not really, that's not the only thing holding them up.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I just wanted to add on to that. Like, I even suggested something like that when we had the races for the kids or whatnot in West Fitchburg, like just providing transportation, like even to some of our own cultural things. Like, I think providing transportation.
Like a bus to the museum on Saturdays?
Yeah, something like that though, you know, like that could reach like, because I'm sure there's a lot of children and people that would love to attend events and, you know, transportation, yeah.
Well, we did have Timothy's his name from the bus. What's the name of our bus company? Mart.
Yeah, the Mart bus.
They actually reached out to us to offer. So we're gonna start that conversation. An art bus. I like an art bus, right?
It's also like the way that Alpha has done tours, like where people can, you know, they rent a bus and they can go to a museum for the day. Like maybe having some kind of program through this museum to go to other museums.
That's a great idea, Rebecca. There should be like a Saturday bus to the Clark. What a great thing. I would love that. All right,
In the
okay,
past,
sorry.
they've had a reading trolley. So Mark has these old trolleys, and they would, you know, specified days of the month, they'd have special readers go on the trolley and pick up kids at the park and do reading trolley events. Mark Jackson from the police department.
I remember those trolleys.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
I don't know, they were pretty old.
And then we need a grant to have someone paint the bus or the trolley.
Make it look like a trolley.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a mural on the bus.
A mural on the bus, a moving mural. Excuse me?
If we have an art bus with like a mural on the side, that could be like 4 art tours of like, you know, art
in Fitchburg and
locations in
nearby.
Fitchburg. Like the recent mural project, and there's a lot of other interesting art pieces all around town.
It's true.
That a lot of people don't know about.
Like how many of us have been to Fruitlands? Right? That would be Thomas. Thomas? You raise your hand?
Oh, yeah, I've been in Fruitlands.
Oh, you've been there. Oh. All right, we're going to do number 7 because how's our time? What types of arts, science, and humanities cultural programs would you and your family, or that is not worded well. What types of arts, science, and humanities cultural programs would you and your family benefit from, and our community benefit from? Shara?
I love the idea of having armchair tours, like people who travel to other places, being able to do like a slideshow and present, like, so that you get this vicarious experience of traveling somewhere else that you can't go.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Your daughter?
I think that we should definitely invest more into our programs in schools. As right now, especially in public schools, our programs aren't as good as they could be, and very unfortunate.
Thank you for that. Liz?
I'd love to see some pop-up art, temporary art in downtown. Maybe something that makes
Installation art.
Yeah, installation art. That's just temporary and sort of ephemeral, and that maybe would be around for a month, and then it would disappear. And then we wait for what's the next thing going to be.
And Audrey?
I like permanent interactive installation art.
Like a cyber cafe, to go off like what Audrey's saying, like, some people can use like either like a computer cafe, music studio, something,
Thank you. And I think, Thomas, you have your hand up?
Yeah, it's addressing, I think, this one, maybe the last one too. I think that something that has a function to it, some interactive, public kind of thing that offers maybe like a free way to charge people's phones with a solar panel or something, or
Like a bicycle that you ride that charges your phone?
that too, yeah, or a place to be able to repair your bike. And having these things, these kind of like resource kiosks, not just in the core downtown area, but pretty much anywhere outside of it. I think like the north of Maine used to be a targeted neighborhood, but I don't know if it's really being addressed as much on a public level. And even the south of Maine and other places too. And then secondly, in terms of locations where we could get resources, I think like some kind of way to have like grant funding for being able to use centers and make them more publicly aware to be able to use things that are hard for artists to have in their own spaces. Like people have been asking to use kilns for a while, and it's really hard to go somewhere unless you have a connection to like the college or I feel like a makerspace is like a lot to ask for right now, and it would be a lot of fun. It would take a lot of funding. But
We need a public kiln, is what you're saying?
yeah, but like at least start with somewhere that has it and be able to get people to access it where it's already existing, and then shift over to having the makerspace.
Thank you. And Tiana, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I would just like to add on to that, just other types of technology. I don't know if Fitchburg TV does it, like if you guys have like an editing room.
They do.
And there's like equipment in there that you can use.
It's wonderful.
Beautiful.
Everyone should join FATV if you're interested in film and TV and learn. Okay. Anybody else? I want to move on to number 8. So number 8, 622. What do you consider to be one of the most important issues relating to culture, arts, science, and humanities in our community? What's a roadblock?
I think equality. I think that there's
In what way?
I think there's a lot of marginalized people, and I think their voices are not necessarily being heard. Maybe they're not even being reached.
Jesse?
Empowering individuals as much as we empower the organizations.
Thank you. Anybody else? Issues to arts and culture in Fitchburg. Attorney Tree?
Overcoming apathy and the isolation that a lot of people experienced over the pandemic.
Iffy?
We need to really take advertising serious. We have so many good things in Fitchburg going, but we lack on good advertising. I know we have like Fitchburg, the Art Museum here that has once a month we have a free admission, and it's not being out there and shown. It's not signs out there showing that this is happening. You know, we need to find a way where the word needs to get out. I'm trying to do that with the local arts happening in Facebook. I'm really
You do a good job.
I'm pushing that. But it's like there has to be more. We need to have it out there on billboards or something. I
And
don't know
beyond
what.
Fitchburg too, I think
Yes.
we need to reach the rest of the region so that
We
they
do.
know what's going on here.
We do have so many good things, we do. But people
We
don't
do.
know about it.
We have a great museum,
Yes.
right? We have a good collection here.
I remember when we used to have this first Thursday event in the museum here, and it was like, silence. Nobody knew about it. We were setting the tables, we had artists and farmers, and we had maybe 1 or 2 customers the whole event. And that was a shame. And we need to advertise more, so I don't know, yeah.
And yes, what's your name behind Joe? What's your name?
Kayla.
Kayla. Nice to meet you. Go ahead.
With what you say, with advertisement, we have great things going on in this town, and it's not out there. This town has everything to become
Has potential?
yes, to become a place like, oh, the word.
Name a place. Like
People from other towns to come and visit.
a destination.
Destination. Our destination. This does have everything. This town has everything to become a destination town. It's very historical. However, like we are all looking for the same, to achieve the same goal, but we are not working together. And that's where we are losing each other. That's where we are missing this fight, and it's going by, and we are not hopping on it. Why? Because we're not working together.
That's often a problem. Yes, Iffy?
Here's the thing that I'm just, what she just mentioned made me think, could we have meetings like that, or we could bring out at the meeting saying, okay, this is what we accomplished, what can we do more? Like she said, we need to work together. And if we have meetings like that, we might be able to accomplish that. I don't know.
Well, we invite everybody to join the Fitchburg Cultural Council. We'll take members. Also, we have another arts organization in town, and I think with the changes happening with the Fitchburg Cultural Alliance, there's going to be new opportunities for things. So anybody who's not a member of the Fitchburg Cultural Alliance, I would encourage you to join that organization and get involved that way. Obviously, if you're interested in the council, we'd love to have you. So I would just like to say that briefly. Audrey, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just want to say, chat with Monique in town Fitchburg. I believe she is trying to create efforts to have a more cohesive promoting Fitchburg events that are going on. First Thursdays are back. I believe the next one is going to be August 4th, and there's a ton of events happening. But yeah, there are people that are trying to promote, but we're all doing it like parallel, as opposed to being able to find an organization that's willing to do it like full time and be the go-to spot.
And I agree that In Town is definitely trying to be that. And you can just look up In Town Fitchburg on Facebook or intownfitchburg.org, I believe. And there's supposedly is a calendar up there. So you can find events. They also ask anybody who has an event to, list it there as well, and we'll promote any events that are happening.
Yep. And I believe they have the Fitchburg Cultural Council's calendar embedded on there, and they might have the Fitchburg.
The community calendar's embedded in there too.
Yeah, the Fitchburg community calendar also, which is great because it's an inclusive, the In Town Fitchburg is really an inclusive website, which combines, like you said, cohesive, and it collaborates all the calendars that all volunteers are working on.
Yeah.
Jesse, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I might have been a little distracted, but I lost my train.
That's okay. I was trying to put you guys in order. And Joe's next.
I think I know what she was going to say.
What was she going to say?
Really? The Fitchburg Cultural Alliance also has a newsletter.
Well, and that was not what I was going to say, but thank you. And we have a directory that is being put together to promote artists. And, but actually, maybe that's kind of a little bit of what I was thinking. I think, and I don't know if this works, I think there's a tendency to be very negative about Fitchburg, and I think it's an addictive attitude that it's the dirty burg, or that this is the town that has fallen down on itself. But I think there's so much that is great about this city, and if we can drive the narrative of being it's been a creative city since it was an industrial city, and just being more celebratory and less saviorish, because I don't think we need people to come in and save us. I think we need to celebrate ourselves.
Thank you, Jesse. There's this woman here with the hand up.
I don't know if this is archaic, but maybe you could probably present a flyer and do a mass mailing to the residents of Fitchburg.
That's a costly endeavor, but it's a great idea.
It is, yeah.
Actually, that was one of the suggestions I wrote on the piece of paper was how do we reach communities? Because not everybody has internet and television, and like you're saying, old-fashioned flyers and print communication.
It's a great idea.
Just little billboards, posting things on poles.
I want to get to Joe, and we're at 6:30. We'll go a few more minutes. Joe, you had something?
I have a few comments
Okay.
from the Facebook Live folks. First, with regard to the issues, Brian is restating issues around mental health awareness and equity, LGBTQ people being left out of things, collaboration with mental health community wellness centers, and also not focusing enough on youth suicide, especially the LGBTQ youth.
Thank you, Ryan.
I had one more.
Go ahead.
This is from Dawn, and actually she just put in a second comment here. The first was in regards to the publication, the calendaring discussion. She has mentioned that we also have a group called Inform Fitchburg,
Yes.
which is promoting all the events along with through Luisa Fernandez and Dawn herself. And she also had mentioned about to save funds on the distribution of the paperwork, to have some sort of an email distribution that would get people to subscribe to.
So just to, go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm hoping I'm reading into what Dawn wrote on this. She's talking about doing cost savings by using email. So.
Thank you, Dawn. And just a quick note on that. Sorry to step on you, Joe. The City of Fitchburg has an email newsletter. The Cultural Alliance has an email newsletter. Open Studios has an email newsletter. So I would just suggest for everybody in the public that doesn't know or get those emails to reach out to us, and we can put you in the right place or suggest how to get you on those email lists.
Sally Cregan also has a email newsletter called the Reveille. Thank you. And as far as Facebook groups for events, join the Fitchburg Cultural Council group, Facebook group. People are constantly promoting on there the different cool and awesome things that are happening around here, regardless if they're FCC funded or not. Yeah.
Thank you. All right, so we're at 6:33. Do you guys mind if I do two more questions? Does anybody have to leave now? I want to do number 9. It says, what might arts, science, and humanities project organizers do to make ours a more livable, prosperous community? So this is the project organizers, which would be the grantees who are creating projects. Shara?
I think having some projects that are about environmental sustainability and food sourcing and things that are about sustainability.
Sustainability.
Yeah.
Sam?
Outdoor activities, like we have the new rail trail, so supporting an activity that might promote walking on the rail trail or walking on one of our many hiking trails in Fitchburg.
Like the Boulder Art Walk? What does he call it?
The Rock Walk.
The Rock Walk.
Rock Walk, or Crocker Conservation with the North County Land Trust. They used to do like a ice cream walk or a frog or the owl prowl.
Those are great ideas. Tiana?
Yeah. Maybe just some support, like technical support with different programmers and like people like myself who create safe spaces for creative expression. Assistance with getting like the proper licensing and just different sourcing of things. Establishing your business, different things like that. But particularly like the licensing needed to even like hold space for creatives, to feel included and supported.
So space for events.
Yeah, like
too.
Yes.
And how to help people technically do that.
Like rentable venues. The Main Street Studios is a really good example of something that I've built in West Springfield. But like something like that where you can have like a public venue space, kind of like this. But like if it needs to be more like specific, like because visibility and inclusivity is really important, and to have like a person of color own a studio space, like that was something that was really beneficial for me to reach my audience, because I am my audience. And so to support people like myself into doing that, like if I was to do that again over here, there's a couple licenses that I need. And so to have an organization that I can turn to and like in support of that, and like make sure that like I'm getting everything, all my paperwork together, but even applying for like some funding, like $1,000 or something, get all the licensing, get like started to start opening these spaces, I think would be really beneficial.
I like it. Thank you. Sam, is that your hand? No.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. All right, anybody else on what might arts, science, and humanities project organizers do to make ours a more livable, prosperous community? Joe?
I'm actually getting input outside of the live event. Someone, this is from Pete Caponagli himself about the Rock Walk Trail. He thinks it would be great to start or sponsor a graffiti park on the Rock Walk Trail.
Yes. That's a great idea.
Very cool.
Thank you, Peter. Graffiti art park.
Graffiti art park, yes.
I like it.
Has one. I mean, not a park, but they have a special wall.
Might be fun to have a competition as well. That's great. Thank you, Joe, for that.
Paint party days.
Paint parties are fun. Okay. All right. Anybody else? And I'm going to move on to the last question. Jesse?
Just needing to speak back to how we're all doing parallel things. I think all these community organizers can work to break down silos and collaborate rather than separate our efforts.
That's good. I would say, right, to that, pick an organization and get involved, right? It's easier when there's a group than when you're on your own.
Or get involved in multiple organizations and share information.
That too, if you have time for it. Don't burn out. Burnout is real. All right, the last question that we're going to touch on tonight as a group here is there anything else that we should change or reconsider for this year? And so this is in reference specifically to our priorities and the way that we do things as a council.
Our council guidelines.
Yeah. So if there's anything, this could have to do with a limit on our budget, for example. This could have to do with the guidelines for the application itself. Obviously, we have certain guidelines from the state. So is there anything that we should change? Maybe from the grant process, if you've done it in the past? Or the training that we did? Cheryl, go, saw your hand first.
I don't think we should have limits on what you're asking for grants. I know that we often have limits on how much we can afford to grant people based on what we have, but I think people should be able to ask for what they want, and even if we can't provide all of it, that they at least ask for what they actually need.
Thank you. Yeah, so this is something, if you guys missed our council meeting on Tuesday, we actually discussed briefly, basically for the community who's watching and listening, all you guys here, whatever you're trying to accomplish, ask for the maximum that you think you need, and we will do what we can. We're only given so much, and we need to be fair to fund as much as we can across the board. So, and we do our best to be fair, so that everything is pretty equal and even. But if you think you need $5,000, ask for it. If you think you need $20, ask for it, and we'll do what we can. Joe?
I just want to add to that, because in your grant application, if you can execute that project with less money, in case we can't give you the full amount of money, be sure to put the details of that into your application. Because if your application says, I need $5,000 or it's just not happening, then we don't have $5,000 for you, you get nothing. But if you say, if I don't get $5,000, I will scale back. I will only serve 15 people instead of 300, and I'll do this project. So you're still providing that value to the community at a lower cost. And then that might be something we can afford to fund for.
And you can also get funding from more than one source.
Right.
So I wanted to go to Kayla. You had your hand up?
Yes, with the grant applications, I came across many times, oh, here is a grant available to you, here's the link. Me as a business owner, I open the link and I don't understand anything. It's like very complicated. And when I reach out for help, hey, can you help me with this application? Whoever sent me the application doesn't know how it works either.
Are you talking about us? Okay.
In general.
Because ours is easy.
No, in general with the grants, with the grants available. So I have not come out to find a grant that I was able to fill it out myself, nor somebody to help me with it.
So,
and it's been a year, and I've been trying.
well, certainly I'm sure there's a lot of people in this room that have dealt with grants. They're sitting over here in the front row. So if you need support, I'm sure you can ask any of us. But this grant application is not too complicated, and we will do usually 1 or 2 trainings to help you, and certainly you can always reach out to us too. The Mass Cultural Council also has videos. So we all watch the videos and take the training from them, and then that way, and some of us have actually filled out the application too, because the council oftentimes will have their own outside projects as well. So reach out to us if you decide to apply. We hope you do, for whatever you want to do. And sir, I don't know your name and I should.
Oh, it's fine. My name's Justin.
Justin, thank you.
Yeah, I think as far as like going forward, maybe council members should be placed at the bottom as far as the priority list goes. Because after watching your meetings and seeing some grants that move forward, the optics are just a little off, and there wasn't a recording of the grant review process, so there's not a lot of transparency in the decision-making process. So people who aren't in the meetings that are on the outside looking in are like, oh, you know, here's a council member that got a grant for something at their church, which could be debated, it's religious or not, you know. Earlier you guys stated that grants, you know, they should be there to focus the broad community and not just like a small corner. And I did further examining, and the dates both fall on religious dates. So like there's things that are being said by the council, and you know, I'm sitting back and I'm watching and paying attention, and like sometimes there's not a direct correlation, or things kind of look a little off. I think more transparency in regards to those things would be helpful to the general public.
Well, we will be at the Legislative Building this year, so it is filmed and it's very public, so everyone's welcome to attend. And we do them, most of the time it's on the agenda where we're going to be at for the grant cycle, so the public's always welcome to attend. And thank you for your comments today. Appreciate you coming. All right, Audrey, and then I want to wrap up.
So we have, due to the pandemic, we have supported Zoom or virtual events. I would suggest that maybe we only provide for the ones that are specifically geared towards Fitchburg residents, or the applicant is from Fitchburg. That way we know that it's actually benefiting.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Everything changed with the pandemic, and now we're kind of shifting the other way. And Casey?
Yeah, hi. So going back really quick to the grant, I think it would be advantageous to have people who can help anyone who's looking to fill out a grant, like during the grant process, like Kayla said, that can either be reached by email or by phone or by going to a specific like office somewhere on Main Street at a specific day, regardless. And I know as council members, we're not allowed to be that person, so we would need volunteers to help anyone who's looking for grant assistance. And I think getting those volunteers is a very important step that we need to take.
Or give them a stipend out of the grant.
Yep, that's a good idea. I'm sure we could use City Hall. They have 2 nice rooms there that we could use. That's good. Thank you very much. So I think we're going to wrap. Hal, good to see you. And Monique here at the end. Okay, so just to reiterate, I don't see the little screen up there now. The grant cycle opens 9/1. You have until 10/17 to complete the application. And then from that point on, we schedule meeting dates, which are the public's welcome to attend, where we will review them. Once we get a book from the Massachusetts Cultural Council of everything, once all the numbers are done. So the public is always welcome to come and watch us in the cycle. If you're interested in joining the council, I would suggest you come and sit in some of those meetings, because that's the bulk of the work that we're supposed to be doing. So keep those dates in mind. Please share with your friends, anybody in the community you know that was doing something in the arts, sciences, or humanities that fits into the categories that Liz mentioned. Please submit your applications. And we thank you very much for being here with us tonight, and to the museum and the council. I really appreciate everybody that came from the council, and there's plenty of snacks in the back. Please take snacks, and please mingle and network, and also fill out the application, the priority survey, which is online but also in the back for you to pick up a copy. And please take some home and pass them to your friends and family. That would be really helpful to us to get more into the community. Casey, one last comment?
Yeah, we also have QR codes for the surveys online if anyone wants to grab one of those, just to make it easy.
They have to be, the survey has to be in by the 10th of August.
And the website is tinyurl.com/public-input-survey 2022, I believe.
We all have QR codes.
Yeah, but the people online don't.
And our next council meeting is at the Legislative Building on August 16th, and it'll be from 4:30 to 5:30, and we stick to an hour. And that'll be the night when we decide the priorities for this cycle. So I'm going to adjourn this meeting at 6:46 p.m. Thank you for joining the Fitchburg Cultural Council's annual public input meeting. Have a great night, everybody.